everyone, I'm Natalie. Welcome to Not Just a Homesing, a podcast by Two Pages. Today I'm joined by Kim Morrow. She's a surface pattern designer and mom of five. Hi.
Hi.
And we're talking about what keeps us grounded as life moves through different seasons.
hmm
Um, yeah, so first, let's do quick fire.
Sure.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Kim Morrow.
Mhm. And what you do?
I'm a surface pattern designer, which means that I design patterns that go on all kinds of different products like wallpaper or fabric or curtains for 2 pages.
Wow. And where you are today?
Today I'm in Calgary, Alberta.
I'm curious, when you hear home, what's the first feeling that come to mind?
The first feelings I have about home are peace and safety. I have been very lucky, and I know that's not the case for everyone, but I've been very lucky that I have a home that has been very peaceful and it's a place of security. Um, so yeah, I try to build that as like very intentionally as part of our family culture. So we do things like, like just building family traditions, and they can be daily traditions, like we try and have dinner together every night, or even traditions that revolve around holidays. Um, I have one friend who has the funniest family tradition, I think. They, on Father's Day, they make sure that they have pie or pizza, I think pizza and pie, on a bridge. And they pick a different bridge every time. So it might be a bridge out in the country or a bridge in the city, but they go to a bridge and they eat pie on the bridge for Father's
Oh,
Day. And it's just a really quirky tradition, but I think it's traditions like that that glue a family together. And I don't know. So that's kind of like home to me is very intertwined with family. Um, yeah, and as I was thinking about your question a little bit too, the another thing that made me think of are like the things that I want to put in my home, and sometimes they're attached to very specific memories. I'm not one that likes a lot of little, um, I don't know, trinkets and things like that. So when I travel, I don't like to buy souvenirs unless there's something that is very practical that yes, it will remind me of the trip, but I want it to be something that I can bring home and use to remember the trip. So, for example, when I was in Paris on a vacation with my husband, I took a croissant baking class,
mhm.
and I bought a rolling pin and brought that home from my trip. So it's just a wooden rolling pin. I use it all the time, but whenever I use it, it reminds me of that trip, and it was something useful. So um, yeah, that's uh, things about home. But I have been a homemaker for many, many years. Like I was a stay-at-home mom for 18 years before I became a surface pattern designer. And I think there's a quote by C.S. Lewis that I love that where he says, and I'm just paraphrasing, but he says that the homemaker has the ultimate career, and every other career exists to support the ultimate career.
In today's world, the productivity is so often measured externally. And what does that idea mean to you personally?
Yeah, it's really hard to be a mom. It's
Mm,
especially hard when you're not getting paid for that job. So it does definitely require a mindset shift to define what does success mean when you're not working at a paid job. You're working really, really hard, but you're not getting paid for it.
right.
So for me, success came from things like noticing the small accomplishments that my children were able to like make. So things like, oh, you learned how to tie your shoes, then that's great, or to zip your coat up, or buckle your seatbelt, because every little thing that they learned to become more independent works. Like it made my life easier, but that's the whole goal of being a parent, is to work yourself out of a job and to raise kind and independent human beings.
Love it. And you know what? My mom actually jokes all the time that raising children is much more interesting than raising cats or dog.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a dog, and I love our dog too. But raising
Uh-huh.
children is definitely it's more demanding, but it's also more rewarding.
Yeah. Because children grow and they surprise you, they challenge you. Yeah.
Yeah.
In your experience, what makes a space truly relaxing?
Relaxing. For me, it has to be cleanliness. Uh, and there's a big difference between cleanliness and tidiness because I think
Mhm.
when you have young children, like they might have toys scattered all over the
Mhm.
floor. But I don't mind having toys out when kids are little because they're playing and play is so important. But what I
Mhm.
don't like is like having like sticky jam on a chair. Like because I can't really relax if I feel like I sit down and I'm gonna get my like clothes dirty because it just things are
Mhm.
sticky. And so it was more important to me as a young mom to try and keep things clean than it was to keep them tidy. um, and I would say the other thing that makes a home relaxing is just acceptance, and knowing that when you come home it's a place of unconditional love.
Yeah, and can you describe a moment when you truly felt at rest in your home?
When I felt at rest,
Yeah.
um, well, I do love a good Sunday nap.
Mm.
Sunday afternoons are great for that. Um, and when I guess I would have to think about like my childhood home.
Mm.
Um, Growing up, I also have four sisters, so
Wow.
I come from a family of five and five kids. And my parents had a big two-story house.
Mhm.
In the backyard, they had lots and a big garden with lots of raspberry bushes. So
Wow.
we liked to go pick raspberries, um, and then they had apple trees. So I'm speaking more as an adult, but going back to my parents' house as an adult, like my mom she was a really good baker, and
Mhm.
um, if she had too many apples, she never had enough room in her freezer. So she would say to me, well, if you come over and help me peel apples and like cut them up, I will make pies. And then I got to take them home and put them in my freezer because she didn't have room in her freezer. So and they also built a sunroom on the back of their house, which I'm a little bit like a cat seeking out the sunny spots. And so I guess, especially as an adult, going to visit my parents' home where I grew up, that's where I can feel really at rest. Um, yeah, and they
Wow.
just sold their house this year, so they just downsized to a two-bedroom apartment. But that home has some special memories.
Wow. And when you mentioned raspberry, actually, it's suddenly brought me back to my childhood too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember climbing on the roof at my grandma's house with my dad to pick apples. Yeah, there
Nice.
were so many that we couldn't possibly finish. So my grandma would turn them all into applesauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think, yeah.
My kids love taking applesauce and then making it into fruit leather, which is,
Mhm.
kind of like a fruit roll up,
Mhm.
but homemade ones.
I think what made it so unforgettable wasn't just about the flavor, it's that feeling, knowing that whatever I want to try, I want to play, my parents will support me. At your current stage of life, has your idea of home changed compared to 10 years ago?
Well, my life stage has changed quite a bit. So, we have five children, but only two of them are living at home. Three of them are away at university. And
Mhm.
I have one daughter that's married. So, yeah, like my life stage has changed quite a bit. But not having small children at home means that I can invest in more high quality decor and not worry about it getting wrecked by little children. And home now is really a gathering place. So our kids come home from university on vacations, and we just love having them all come home.
Yeah, my parents was kind of same. When I was little, they want to teach me how to care of others. So we had animals, a lot of animals everywhere. At one point, we had 14 cats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, two of mother cats had kids at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? After I left for university, they never have animal anymore. 'Cause
Yeah.
they always say like we're not raising anything with mouse anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
life changes.
yeah. And how do family life and culture influence the kind of pattern and design you're drawn to?
Well, so because a lot of our family resources were spent in like raising children, like, buying groceries and paying for education and clothing and all of that. And I'm not the only one. I think most people have to live within a budget. So I chose to try to choose things that were more timeless, that I didn't have to change all the time. Um, Favorite colors that I was drawn to, and things that would be long lasting. And over time, that kind of practical choice became a preferred aesthetic. Like I do really love classic design.
For me, 3 years ago, I moved to Los Angeles by myself for grad school.
Yeah,
And since then, I've been renting and I move almost every year. Yeah, and school work is intense, then came job hunting, and now work is so busy. So now I don't buy a lot of furniture
yeah,
and I keep things as simple as possible, partly because I know I might have to pack everything up again in a year.
yeah.
And the fewer things I own, the easier to move.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. May I ask, what was it being like creating and running a creative business through different life stage?
Yeah. To be honest, I've only started my creative business in 2023, so I can't really speak to doing it through all life stages. But I do think that surface pattern design is something that people can do, um, no matter what stage of life you're in. So if you're a young mother, you can work in the margins. Like, you can work when your kids are napping. You can work after they go to bed. Uh, you can, like, it's just so portable. Like, if you're drawing on an iPad, you can sit on the couch and draw on an iPad while your children are playing. So I do love that about it for young mothers. But if you're older, like I am, maybe you're an empty nester, it's also a wonderful career because you have so much lived experience. You've already, had experiences that have refined your taste, and helped you to create, like what you love already, and that becomes your superpower. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful career that you can do at no matter what stage of life you're in, even though I only started it in 2023.
If you could sit down with yourself from 10 years ago, what might you tell her about?
Yeah, 10 years ago, oh, I was in the thick of raising kids. And I have always loved learning. So I had gone back to university. I already had a bachelor's degree from when I was much younger, but I was thinking I'd like to do a master's degree. And I was pondering speech therapy as a master's degree. So I had taken all of these prerequisite courses. But then when it came down to time to apply to do the master's degree, the school would only let me do it full time. And I couldn't be the kind of mom that I wanted to be if I was also a full-time student. But I kind of had a little bit of an identity crisis because most every other woman I knew had some kind of career. Like, even if it was part-time, maybe they were working as an occupational therapist or a fitness instructor while they were also being a mom. And I kind of felt like, well, who am I? Like, who am I? Because I am a mom and that's all I do. And anyway, I think in retrospect, like if I was to tell myself, like my 10-year ago self, um, uh, what give her some advice, I would just say, don't worry about it. Like there's a time and a season for everything. And I'm actually glad that I didn't go down that path because I think surface pattern design is far more interesting and exciting to me. So yeah.
I love that idea of seasons,
Mhm.
especially in the world, in the culture that tell us to accelerate everything every day.
Yeah. There's lots of time in life to do all the things that you want to do.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool, though. You're known for creating design that feel classic and enduring. To you, is timeless something that stay unchanged or something that can stand to change?
Um, well, I'm generally the kind of person who like I figure out where I want to put all my furniture and then I never move it, which my husband's probably very happy about because he isn't recruited into moving furniture every 6 months. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I do like that timelessness of things. Like when it fits in the right place, I don't think you need to change it. But even I like to have a refresh once in a while, but with things that maybe like changing a paint color or bedding. Like eventually your bedding wears out, and maybe that's time for a refresh. But that doesn't mean that you need to change everything, and especially when it comes to things that are more uh, more expensive, like your countertops or your flooring. Like I don't want to have to change those uh, all the time. So I'm going to try to very carefully choose things that are going to be lasting, high quality, durable, and then I can change things like fabrics and paint colors that don't cost so much money. They're easier to change just to give something a bit of a refresh.
Why do you think people are drawn to classic, comforting design in such a fast-changing digital world?
Um, there is a real shift right now in people are as they're becoming more and more, like, I don't know if overwhelmed is the right word, but
Yeah,
we're inundated with technology changes
yeah,
that change so fast all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
And so people are really seeking analog hobbies, things like gardening, photography, what else? Quilting. There's like people are really drawn to these things that you do with your hands. Um, so there is a strong pull towards that, and I think it's a natural response into our fast-paced digital world. And historically, we've seen that in the past too. So, like after the Industrial Revolution, where there was quite a big change in technologies that were available, um, people had a shift and a return to they were seeking out things like craftsmanship. You can see that from the work of William Morris, and I think that yeah, those uh, like things that are slightly imperfect, things that show that a human made them, that helps people feel grounded.
Yeah, and relax.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Recently, I find myself loving drinking tea from Chinese porcelain.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's beautiful, and
Yeah.
each piece can be so unique.
Yes. Handmade porcelain. You can feel the time in it.
Yeah.
Each piece had been shaped and polished by someone's hands over and over again.
Hmm.
Like now, two cups are exactly alike.
Yeah, you're right. And that's
Yeah.
like I have a mug that my friend who is she's a ceramicist, and she
Mhm.
made it for me. It's my favorite
Wow.
mug because
Wow.
I only have one, but it's so unique. I
Mm.
like the way it feels in my hands. I like the colors. I like that she made it for me. Like it's just so much more special than one that I could have bought in a pack of 12 at a store, right?
When did you first become aware that AI would begin to play a role in design? Was your initial reaction more curiosity or a bit of instinctive resistance?
So I first started using ChatGPT in middle of 2023, I think. And I was curious because I am a curious person. I'm
Yeah.
open to new ideas, cautiously curious maybe is the right word. And because I work at home by myself, very like in a very independent kind of job, I sometimes have to get scrappy to learn things. Like I'll watch a YouTube video or I will take a Skillshare class. If there's a technology or something I don't understand how to do, I'm busy searching the internet. And so ChatGPT just became another tool to help me learn things that I didn't know how to do. So, um, like for example, I wanted to make a, a spreadsheet, a tracking sheet for my sales, and I didn't know how to set one up on, I know how to use Excel, which is similar, but I didn't know how to set one up on Google Sheets. And so I just worked with ChatGPT to try and teach me how to make this spreadsheet to do all the specific things that I want to track. And another example was there was a spoonflower challenge for that I enter quite frequently, spoonflower challenges. This one was for pet doodles, I think it was called. And so I used ChatGPT to just kind of brainstorm design ideas. I'm like, this is the brief. They want, something related to pets and in a doodly kind of style. And so I threw that into ChatGPT, and it gave me a whole list of ideas. And one of them was, I think, birds in a cafe. And I didn't, but it was almost like talking to another person because I didn't want to draw birds. But I said, well, I'm really interested in drawing dogs in a cafe or dogs in Paris. And so I made this whole design about like with characters, dog characters doing different things in Paris. And it became because I had this conversation with ChatGPT just to
Mhm.
brainstorm
Yeah.
ideas.
Yes. 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 I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel ChatGPT is my professor. Yeah.
Yeah. And the more you work with it, it starts to
Mhm. Yeah.
understand you a little bit
Yes.
better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. When I was in school, our professor encouraged us to use ChatGPT in our
Really?
assignment. Yes. It wasn't as cheating. It's sense of tool we have to learn how to work with.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
it's not going away, I don't think. So we have to learn how to work with it.
Do you think AI truly understand life?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think it can because it doesn't have human experience. Like I think it's good at analyzing things,
Mhm.
but it doesn't have its own memories of
Mhm.
like lived human experience. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't think so.
Mhm. Yes, that's quite interesting because on the one hand, I don't think AI understand life. On the other hand, I often feel like ChatGPT AI understand me so well.
That's true. It's just very good
Yeah.
at analyzing you.
If someone is trying to create a home that feels steady through life transitions, where you would suggest they start?
um, Building a home, I think the most important thing is acceptance. It starts with the people that are living in your home. I
Mm,
think they need to feel unconditionally loved and accepted in
mm,
your home. Even if that's like somebody coming to visit your home, your friends,
mm,
or, you want your home to be a place that feels welcoming and peaceful and safe. Um, and when it comes to design and decorating your home, I really think it's good to focus on the things that are like investing in good foundations, the things that, like I said, like flooring, countertops, your appliances, like those, you don't want to cheap out on those things, and then you can add your own personality with color and texture and with like fabrics and patterns, and that's those things are more easily changed.
mm,
So that's how I would go about decorating. And then I guess I'd still take us back to traditions, like the pie, eating pie on a bridge kind of
Mhm.
traditions. I think people need to really think carefully about what traditions they want to have in their family, and that can be fluid. They can change over time. Like if a tradition isn't serving your needs, you can get rid of it. But starting a tradition, whether that's bringing them from your family that you grew up in, or just choosing to do something and starting it because you like it, uh, that's the glue that holds families together. And I think it really helps to build a sense of home.
Mhm. Yes, as someone still building my own sense of home, that really speak to me.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you have some wonderful traditions that you can bring in
Um,
from your family and even from your new culture and friends that you're
mhm.
meeting in LA. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. I really like the idea that sadness come from acceptance.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Acceptance is where, like feeling that you are welcome, and that's
Mhm.
really what's going to change the feeling in your home.
Okay, thank you so much, Kim.
You're welcome. It's so nice to talk to you.
So nice to talk with you. Thank you so much for two pages for making conversation like this possible. As life moves through different seasons, I hope our home can stay anchored in love, peace, and values, tradition that matter most.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Thanks, Natalie. Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you. So nice to meet you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.